And if we have to do that to get the confidence of all the parties, all the stakeholders, then maybe that is the additional sacrifice we should make, or we will make, to ensure that the process stays on course.
Okay. All right. Is there a difference between remediation and restoration?
Yes, there is a difference between remediation and restoration. Remediation is the process that recovers, is a recovery process. It's a process that removes the contaminants from the soil. Now, if there has been an oil spill on the side, the first thing you notice is that all the plants on that piece of land is gone. They are impacted. So it destroys all life there. Remediation is that process that will make the land again fertile for the plants to grow. Restoration is another process that will allow for all those plants to be, for that land to be revegetated to as close as possible as it were to the original state before impact. So one is putting back life, one is removing the contaminants.
Okay, fine. And is it true that illegal refining, artisanal refining, will sabotage the process by repolluting areas that have been cleaned up?
The UNEP report was very clear as to the dangers and the challenges that recontamination and artisanal refining poses to the cleanup process. And in that regard, it makes no sense for government to commit so much money to clean up a site only for you to come back and say that it's impacted in 6 months. So this is a huge challenge to this process. And I would like to use this opportunity to appeal to all of us, to appeal to the security agencies, to appeal to the community, to appeal to regulators, and for all of us to pull our weight when it comes to combating this particular challenge. Recontamination continues as we speak, and it is important that it is halted. As a matter of fact, the UNEP report is very categorical. It says that remediation should only start after repollution, after artisanal refining activities has been brought under control. And I believe at this point, while we are asking for remediation work to go on, we are prepared to do that. We are focused on that. We want to appeal to all parties involved, everyone involved for these artisanal activities, all these other ways that impact the environment further, for it to be halted.
Okay. Some Ogoni communities are accusing HYPREP of neglecting them. Could you explain to those communities that feel neglected whether you're going to get round to everybody in the end?
The UNEP report again was very clear as to the sites that were assessed, but that is not to say that those are the only sites that exist in Ogoni land. So part of what we are going to do now, we will do some more assessments in other areas. So any community where there has been an impact that we haven't reached, be assured that we are coming to you. No. We will get to that site and we will capture it within the project.
Okay. Can communities that have been impacted expect compensation? Because, I mean, there are some people who think that HYPREP is about money and about funds being distributed.
Compensation wasn't part of what UNEP did, and it's also not part of what HYPREP is doing. Sure. What we have, two clear mandates: remediate impacted sites and livelihood. Livelihood is about training and giving new skills to people in the communities where, as a result of oil pollution, their means of livelihood has been impacted or affected. That is what we are doing. So compensation is not anything that is part of HYPREP mandate.
Okay. Now, I understand that there's some agitated persons who would like to ask questions. So I don't have to be the only questioner. Let me throw the floor open. Any questions?
Sorry, let me help.
How am I going to answer?
I wanted to let me use this. I'll bring it up.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, go ahead, please.
The Honorable Minister for Environment, Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. I was waiting for you to finish.
Okay, sir. Sorry, sir.
First of all, I must register my observation. I'm not criticizing, I'm only making an observation. If the PC was not an Ogoni, it would be a different observation. But I think it is not proper for you to have invited all these chiefs and all the elders here to come for a 9 o'clock meeting and then you show up at 11 o'clock. I think it's not proper. Having said that, I also want to observe that I think there's a lot of, call it inefficiency, call it whatever. But this project is a very serious project. And I think it requires a little bit more attention than it is being given. I'm not too sure, but what I see, first thing I saw when I came here was this sign there, hydrocarbon pollution remediation project. I'm sorry, I have to that's why I'm here. It's a stakeholders forum. Now, having said that, I want to ask 3 questions, and I hope you just take them so I don't have to speak again. One is that last week, some papers some time back, we discovered that HYPREP had appointed some consultants, project management consultants, project monitoring and evaluation consultants, and HYPREP media and public relations consultants, supposed to be communication consultants. Now, my first question is, what is the relationship between the project coordinator's office, that's the HYPREP office, and the project management consultant? How are their roles related? What are they supposed to do for each other? As either in administration or what? I don't understand. I need to know how that's happened, how that's worked. I have 3 questions, please. If you don't want me to ask, I can sit down.
Go ahead, please.
The second is that media and communications consultant. I don't know what language and who is communicating with who. Who is he going to who is he consulting for? If he's a communication consultant, my understanding is that he's supposed to explain this whole process to the people that are concerned, the Ogoni people. In what language is he doing that, and who is this person? And how is he functioning? Because invariably from your report, it appears that the HYPREP office is still doing that communication job. So what is the role of this communication consultant vis-a-vis the HYPREP communication process? Now, the second question is the third. When the MOSOP president and the Kagote president, when they spoke, they were talking, a lot of emphasis was placed on feeding the people, Ogoni people will have to eat and all of that. The money is not remediation and so on. And then when you spoke, you went direct to the full mandate of HYPREP, which is the remediation and restoration of the environment. Now, how do you reconcile? Are you people working at cross purposes, or because it's the same source of funds? There are no 2 monies available for different things.
All right,
you have only one source of fund, and then.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, let's give others a chance.
I'm not coming back here tomorrow, please. Get me. I think she was, her hand was weak holding the microphone. So my third question is, the minister's address clearly stated that people were called to do demonstration at the remediation sites. That's to test their technical expertise to be able to do the work if they were given. But that the demonstration does not confer any advantages to the process of selecting contractors. Are you now going to select those who did not do demonstration and who you haven't seen what they have done above those who had demonstrated their expertise? That's a bit confusing to me. So let me just wait there. Maybe as we go on, something might come up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me stand up and apologize profusely for my late arrival. Obviously, there were other things I needed to attend to in the office very quickly before coming here. So my very sincere apology to you and to the audience, all of you. I'm very, very sorry about this. It was unavoidable because I had to attend to those, at the same time come back to you. So I'm very sorry, deeply sorry for this. I also just noticed the pollution thing. As you noticed it, I think this was an oversight, and we apologize for this. The department responsible for this will correct it immediately. So I'm so sorry. Let me go straight to the question, sir. You started with the relationship between the consultants. It is true that the processes that led to the establishment of the governing structures, which is the Board of Trustees, the Governing Council, as well as the Project Coordination Office, started before the Project Coordination Office came in. And one of the things that was to be done, or that we did, was that was done before then, was to ensure that there were competent consultants to assist the Project Coordination Office in carrying out the duty. Project management consultants, communication consultants, and monitoring evaluation consultant. So this was a process that was carried out by the Ministry of Environment on behalf of HYPREP. And they concluded that process recently and sent and got those consultants to us here. We had an inception workshop with them. And I can also use this opportunity to just quickly ask the representation of the Honorable Minister to just shed a bit more light on this for us, please.
Thank you very much. Well, like the project coordinator rightly said, the process for procuring project management consultants, the monitoring and evaluation consultants, as well as the communication consultant, was undertaken by the ministry on behalf of HYPREP for two reasons. The process actually predated the project coordination office being very active. But what informed having these consultancies around the project coordination office was, one, the nature of this particular project. It is just not like any other remediation. There are a lot of moving parts that requires a very, very high level of project management, engineering, quantity surveying, and so on expertise that we felt was very, very important to now have that expertise that is accountable to the project coordination office as support, not as parallel to the, is to strengthen the technical capacity of the project coordination office. So that process started and the PCO was now established and the process was concluded. That was why it was not ordinarily, it was the HYPREP that would have done the advert itself, that would have procured the consultants. But just like, as you are all aware, as at the time the oil companies where the international, the oil companies wanted to pay in at least an initial amount into an account. The ministry had to receive that money on behalf of HYPREP to ensure that at least it had sufficient takeoff. So I don't see any problem between the project coordination office and the project management consultant, because they are there as support and they receive instructions from the HYPREP, not from the ministry. That's on one hand. I will take the opportunity to also address the last question. No, not ethnicity. That's not mine. Yeah, the demonstration companies. Now, before the establishment of the project coordination office, and even after it has been established, the moment the president launched the Ogoni cleanup, there were so many companies that were coming with presentations indicating we have this technology that is going to, they were basically marketing the technologies that they had. And the former minister and the current minister decided that, okay, look, you're all talking a lot of grammar on presentation. Why don't you now go and demonstrate it? Let us see. And use that as an opportunity to determine the appropriate technology to deploy that is environmentally sound in that environment, in the cleanup exercise. So if you give an advantage to somebody that comes to market, you did not invite them to come and do demonstration. They say, look, we want to showcase what we can do. It does not make you to now subvert the procurement process that is there to now lay it open. Besides, what we have learned through the demonstration is that there is nothing unique to each and every one of the companies, because these are all technologies that are not anchored to one company alone. They are proprietary. And there are so many other international companies that actually are engaged in this. So it was very important for the hands of HYPREP and the ministry not to be tied. You want to do this demonstration? Fine. In fact, most of the times they offer that they will demonstrate that it works. So we say, okay, fine, we'll allot areas for you to do so that we can now look at what the results are. And that will only inform the kind of technology that is going to be deployed. It will be unfair for if somebody comes to me and is marketing that, look, I have this handkerchief, it's better to clean your sweat, but you can try it. And I take it and I try it, and then you now say that I must buy that handkerchief. I may decide I don't want to buy it. So, but the fact is that they also have to now compete with this. But for companies that have done demonstration, realistically, you discover that for somebody to deploy to the field gives you an indication that, okay, yes, there's a lot of expertise around that when you now ask them to now come forward to produce their documents, then they will produce their documents. If they succeed in getting, fine. If they do not succeed in getting, then you are not contractually obligated to now say that you have to award to them. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ishaku. Please, just before we get back to the project coordinator, I just want to say that when he's done with the last, answering the last question, we'll go to other